And just like that, it's the next morning, and I've noticed that this little trailer is starting to fill up already. It's not going to take very long because I have some junk laying around. I brought some stuff from my friend's house. I got a cooler and a saw, a router, and grinders, and yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to concentrate on the doors first, but it's becoming evident that soon I'm going to need shelves. Okay, but first, let's turn this pile of stuff into a pair of doors. Like most of the projects that I do, this one started with a lot of measurements and calculations. I'm not saying that these calculations are always correct, but one way to help ensure that you aren't sabotaged by distractions, I like a nice clean work area to do my figuring. Another way to help ensure that there are fewer errors, I like to put whatever I'm going to cut in place and just mark it instead of bringing the measurement to the piece. I'll show another example of that in just a little while. Well, darn if I can't overthink things sometimes, I guess, maybe. But here's a drawing of a square with a door right in the middle. That's the whole side is a door, this whole side is a door. And that would be framed to this. In other words, the hinge would be on this, and that's a pretty solid part of the truck. Another idea I had was to bring in the frame of the door 1 foot this way and that way. So if this is 8 feet across, then you have 1 foot, 1 foot, and then 2 3-foot doors. 36-inch doors are normal. And then, well, I would need another 2x4 here and here, and then I can connect the two to the inside of the box with triangle-shaped gussets, which I can turn into shelves. So then when you're on the inside, you would have storage space, like, you know, little triangle shelves. That'd be pretty cool. But I do like the vista. And depending on where I park this thing, it could be very beautiful out. I may want doors open as much as possible, which means it's going to get slightly more claustrophobic inside if I close it in. So anyways, I couldn't make up my mind, so I drew it on paper, and just drawings made me think this looks like the back of a truck. That looks kind of weird, you know, as far as trimming it out and making it look good. So I think I'm going to stick with the full-size 4-foot doors on either side. Alright, I've compensated by leaving a 1/2 inch here for the barrel of the hinge on either side of where the door is going to be. In between, here's my marks. I'm going to leave not quite a 1/2 inch. That should be enough so that they don't bind when it opens up. And on the outside of the door, I'm going to have the 1x4, so same width as this, centered on the opening. Like that. So when it closes, it'll look like this. But I don't want to be able to see through or have weather come through. So what I'm going to do, instead of cutting it here, I'm going to move it over 1 inch and cut it here. You'd have to close the left door first, which will be slightly bigger, and there'll be 1 inch showing. So when you close this one, the right door will close upon the left door. And when you look through the 2 pieces of trim that'll be on the outside of the doors, you won't be able to see through to the inside, and that'll keep the weather out. That's the plan, at least. So I'm going to cut 1 inch to the right of center, and then I'll make another one exactly the same, one slightly shorter than the other, and that'll be the tops. Measure in between, we should be able to make the sides, and we'll make a square out of wood, and blah, 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 blah. That part ought to be self-evident. Of course, I forgot, because I made one single cut and I want to have 3/8 of an inch in between the doors, I'm going to have to put the 2 back together and chop a little bit more off. Otherwise, if you forget those little details when you put the door on, they won't be able to open up. And you'll be like, oh wow, sheesh, I should have thought about that before I built them. That's why I'm taking my time now and doing a lot of figuring instead of a lot of doing. All right, now I have top and bottom for the left door, the right door. What I need are pieces that'll go from top to bottom. So I'll leave these here and measure from there up, because that'll be the piece of wood that goes in between these two. I'm going to take 1 inch off of that, and that'll leave me a 1/2 inch gap below and above the door, and that ought to be enough so that it doesn't bind or squeak or anything when I open and close it. On the sides there's going to be weather stripping here, so as the door closes, just like this, it'll pinch the weather stripping, and that way there won't be any rain getting through the sides. Underneath, gravity should let it roll off. Maybe with a real driving wind, water could go in, but water's been going into this thing for, this is a 2002, so 21 years or so, and it seems fine. At the top, I may just put a drip edge of some sort to keep weather from going in, and up there I'm probably going to have to make a stop that will prevent the door from going all the way in, but we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now we're building squares that eventually are going to turn into doors. I gotta say, throughout my life, whenever I'm building stuff, the cares of the world just seem to melt away. Cutting, scraping, carving, building, these are always things that bring me to my happy place. Building these doors was extra nice because of the wonderful scenery, despite the road noise. And the fact that I had to stop every once in a while and explain what I was doing. Alright, now that I have 2 sides for each door, a top and a bottom for each door, I can go ahead and screw them together. I'm going to do them one at a time, and the floor of the truck is nice and flat, so that's where I'm going to build it. Then I will, I might put the cross braces in first, and then I'll do the face of it. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I'll pet puppies in the meantime. What do you think? Yes? You like that idea? Alright, enough of that. This woodworking can be done, damn it. Now I'm going to measure in between there and there, but I'm going to do it down here in case there's a bend to the board. I'm going to go from inside corner to inside corner, make sure both are the same, and cut a board that length, put it in between. Let's see. Let's pick this up. There you go. So what I've got here is the frame of the door. This is going to go on the right side. So this will be the hinge side. So this little blemish here will be hidden. I'm okay with that. There's going to be a hinge about here. Okay, I'm going to bring it down from the top 8 or 9 inches. I'll have one dead in the center, that's fine. I'm going to bring them up from the bottom too. So I'm going to do a cross brace this way, so that where the hinge is, I can just add a little nailer. This way I know I got something strong that the hinge will attach to. Okay, got that? Everything is thought out. And that cross bracing will prevent this from racking at all. Anybody who's ever built a door, and they know that the top hits but the bottom doesn't. That's what this hopefully will prevent. Yeah, I'm sure there's a way that I could have measured in between corner and corner, and then just picked the center of that and made some 45-degree cuts, but I'm pretty sure that it's not square, so those cuts will be slightly off, and they may not fit really perfect, and my math might be off, and there's 100 reasons why I prefer to lay the material in place like this. If you can, sharpen your pencil tip and mark it like that. Now I'll take that down to the saw, put a square on the top parts, and cut that. And then I'll do the same here. I'm going to do this for each and every one. Then I got screws going up this way, so I'll put 2 screws here as well going up, and I'll get a good amount of meat of the screw into that, and that should hold really nicely. I'd say that fits pretty good for rural work. Now that you got the gist of that, I'm going to make the next one up there. I'm going to add the cross pieces in here, and again, I'm going to do that about 8 inches up where I imagine the hinge is going to be. So we'll have hinge, hinge, hinge. This will be the left door. Once that's all done, I'll come back to you and we'll put a face on this, and we'll be that much closer to having a door for my new workshop. Okay, so if you can see, the other door is on the corner of this one that I'm making. This board here had a bit of a hump to it. So by putting weight over there, see, because after I made the square, it would wobble if I stepped on this corner. And I looked down and I realized this one was crooked. So I got my chopping stump here, which is pretty heavy. I'm going to put it on this corner, and that'll straighten out this board. While it's straight, I'll put the screws into the braces, which are both attached there and there, but they're not attached there, not yet. First, I get the lump out of this board here, and those braces will start doing their job. Dig it, man. Dig it. Sweet. Alright, I get the little nailers over there for the hinges, like I did on this door, and we'll be ready to put a face on this. Ah yes, the shuffle that your feet fall into at the end of the day, when your body is starting to get tired. You can also make a lot of mistakes when you're tired, so I figured it was time to shelve this project for now and get on to cleaning up. That part's easy and it's hard to screw up. On to the next step. I was also taught a long time ago by a friend of mine named Ron that it was always important to clean up and put your tools away and wrap things up and plug things in and charge your stuff. If you didn't have time for that, then you didn't have time to do the job in the first place. That philosophy has kept me and my tools in pretty good shape over the years. Anyways, in the next video, when we get back to this project, I realized something that I may have screwed up with these doors. But we overcome that, and then I get the faces on them, and we're almost ready to hang these doors. Thanks for coming along and being patient with me during this project. Don't worry, there'll be lots more to come.